Is it time to unfold your wallet for Samsung's latest devices? Let's talk about that. I'm Ryan Dawes.
I'm George Lim.
So it was Samsung Unpacked today, and we saw the latest and greatest that Samsung had to offer. We obviously saw their Z Flip and Z Fold, the latest iterations, which, just like my Fis, have zero gap.
Excellent. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, so on both the Flip and the Fold, they've updated the hinge. So it's now a 2-rail hinge design. And for the first time, Galaxy have managed to get that gapless, closed form factor that we've been seeing with a lot of the other players in the foldable game. Samsung aren't the only ones here anymore. So have they brought enough to the table to properly compete?
Yeah. Well, they showed some research that over half of people now are considering foldables for their next upgrade, which I'm quite surprised about at this point. Like, I don't know about you, there's still not a category that I'm that interested in.
See, I keep looking at them. Every time I see them, I go, I want to buy it. And then I see the price and I get put off massively, especially the bigger ones, because they're just that one step too expensive. Like, yes, I understand that they're supposed to sort of be tablet and phone sort of together, but it's just, at this stage, it's just unreachable. But it is a category I'm certainly keen to potentially have my next phone be a foldable.
I think we've said previously that both of us prefer the sort of flip style over the sort of mod book kind of style.
Yeah.
And I, just to reiterate, prefer that because you can do sort of most tasks on the outer of the sort of flip style.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like that's the kind of device that is for most people, whereas I feel like that book sort of design is more niche. Like, I feel like it's more really for big mobile gamers, I would say. Interesting. I put it more in the sort of the notebook category, the productivity buffs. You know, those people who need that notebook wherever they go, especially with the addition of the S Pen. I think that it's the perfect sort of productivity device, but gamers certainly would get a huge sort of display out of it. I've seen people use some of the previous models with sort of Kishis and those sorts of controllers and having this massive square screen. Again, super appealing. Yeah, it's weird though, because I feel like the more sort of hardcore gamers will want a more dedicated gaming portable, whether that's a Steam Deck or Asus or you know, any of those kind of devices. And like you said, when you're talking about that foldable style where you're paying essentially the price of two devices, I mean, I was working this out earlier. For over my S23 contract, if I was to get the latest Z Fold, it'd be an extra 500 quid a year, which, again, you could buy a Steam Deck every year.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I feel like the more hardcore gamers would do that. And I'm not entirely sold on the sort of productivity aspect of it, because I don't think many people are actually doing that much multitasking on a mobile device. There are niche cases, but I think the vast majority of people, they're not going to be wanting to do that. Yeah,
it's why I think Samsung, especially with this one, other than the hinge, the Fold hasn't really seen that big of an update. Yes, the hinge is better, and it now opens flat and closes flat. But in terms of the actual hardware, it's still using the same cameras. It's still using the same everything about it is the same as the old generations. Whereas the Flip, they've kind of gone in, that outer display now used to be this tiny little slither, and now it's a much bigger display, like the Razer Plus.
Yep.
And one of the things that I was concerned about during the conference was, what would you be able to do on that outer display? You know, using these widgets, and they were showing off the widgets that they've got built in, and you have to go through sort of several settings to be able to use anything else on it. But you can still use any app on that outer display.
Yeah. And talking about more iterative upgrades, the Galaxy Watch 6, which I have on my wrist right here. No, this is the Galaxy Watch 5, but it looks essentially exactly the same, at least this model. But they have brought back the model with the physical bezel that people actually wanted.
I've been out of the Samsung game sort of visually and sort of knowledge-wise, and I didn't realize they got rid of the spinny dial. That seemed like the deal breaker Samsung thing. So it's nice that they brought it back, but I'm confused as to why they got rid of it in the first place.
Exactly. I mean, one of the only sort of notable things to mention on this is the new sleep features coming to the new watch. And it's really cute how they've done it. They've got like little animals, and throughout the day it'll give you guidance on how you can improve your sleep at night. I believe this is coming to their previous watches as well, from the Galaxy Watch 4 onwards, I believe they said. So really, whether the Galaxy Watch 6 is enough for most people to really warrant over the Galaxy Watch 5 is questionable.
Well, yeah, it's going to be one of those upgrades that you're going from the 3 or the 4. Yeah. And then the last thing they showed off at this conference was their new tablets, the 11-inch, the 12.9-inch, and the 14.9-inch. And that thing is huge.
It's an absolute beast. And this is where we see the new S Pen really come into play, because this has 4,000 pressure sensitivity levels, which brings it more up to the Apple Pencil level, which is quite similar. But, you know, for sort of artists, then finally you have a good sort of tablet in the Android ecosystem.
You would hope it's about time, but you'd hope an app, something like Procreate, would come over to the Samsung side just to give it that. You need that sort of key app that really sells it as an artistic device.
I feel like that might be the only way to pull you back over.
Maybe. So what did you think about the Samsung event? Let us know in the comments below. Are you tempted by any of these new devices? And until next time,